The archaeological site was down in an old dry riverbed, it looked like. And the things that we're looking at are petroglyphs. Now, petroglyphs are where you've taken a stone and you've chipped a glyph, that is a picture, into the stone, whereas a pictograph is where you've painted the picture on the stone. So these are petroglyphs. The petroglyphs appear to be mostly of eland, which would have been a prime source of meat. It's the largest antelope in the world, and ostrich, which of course would have provided eggs as well as meat, and the eggs are useful as canteens.
Let's go.
Okay. Well, what can you tell me about these petroglyphs?
So, petroglyphs are basically engravings in stone. So they were used stone tools to chip away at the rock surface and tried to get obviously an impression made by the Bushman people. I am no expert, I must say I'm no expert, but the Bushmen generally, they're believing these ones to be minimum 2,000 years old, anywhere up to maybe even about 8,000 years old.
Sure.
And what they would typically do would be to chip maybe like a spiritual animal or an animal that they had high beliefs with, predominantly the eland, which is the one that's just next to you on that side. And then here we've also got some ostrich, which the Bushmen would have used ostrich either for meat, but also very often the eggs as a food source. And then they would hollow out the eggs and use that egg container to actually carry water. Other animals that are here are also zebra, which then just also shows you what food sources were in the area. So that's sort of my understanding of petroglyphs, and it is just leaving a marking at a prominent point. This is definitely an old riverbed with the way that the rocks are smoothed, so there may have been water here at the time, so it might have been an area that they would come to regularly as a form of a resource to sustain them.
And as I understand it, some Europeans had a farm here, is that right?
That's correct. Unfortunately, one of the groups of farmers afterwards were, by the looks of some of the engravings that they've made, the Nimon family, and they'd added to these petroglyphs by making some of their own. So those would be less than 100 years old.
Yeah.
But there's also a possibility, they've done some walking around the area and they have actually found some graves from this particular family, so it obviously for them also contained some spiritual significance in this area.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
One morning we got up early and went out to the meerkat colony's den before they woke up. We got there while they were stirring about in the burrow, but they hadn't yet come up topside, and the reason is because the sun wasn't yet strongly on the ground where they would warm themselves. Meerkats apparently get quite cold at night, and in the morning they like to stand up and face the sun so that the sun will warm up their bodies. That also gives them a chance to look around for raptors and such. Their tummies, incidentally, have very little fur on them, and the result is that the sun's rays warms them up fairly quickly. But this is winter, and so they're not only have to get up and get into the sun, but they're going to have to stay there a little longer than they would during the summer because it's quite cool. In the winter here, it gets down to around freezing. Now, I know that you've been hearing a lot of camera clicks, and that's because the paparazzi are here. The fact is, these meerkats are quite popular, and there's about a dozen people here taking their pictures. Now, really wild meerkats would not tolerate all this human activity, or in fact, any of it. They'd be gone, and they'd never come up out of the hole while all those people were around, or while any of them were around. But these meerkats have been habituated to people, and although they won't crawl up on you, they will totally ignore you. They'll treat you very much as though you're a tree. It appears to me that standing up on two legs like the meerkats do is difficult to do, and the younger ones do have trouble doing that. But in addition, several members of this mob happen to be rather sleepy. There's a desperate need here for coffee. Now check out the two meerkats in front. Both of them seem quite sleepy. It looks like they'd be quite willing to go back to bed if they only could.
The biggest and so at the moment it's just sitting in this box. That will be unfolded later.
The meerkat at the front left is darn near almost asleep. Here the adult accidentally knocks over the youngster, but he makes the best of it.
The adults are looking around more, like they're more attentive.